Okay.
Good.
Yeah, hi. Good morning. Okay. Today we're going to start 63b. Samach Gimel Amud Beis. Dr. Stein, you can hear me?
I hear you fine.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So we start Samach Gimel Amud Beis by Amarav. Like it's really in the middle of the page. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. And in the source of our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. It says like this. How you doing? You had the other part of that procedure? No, you said they only did half. They did the other half. Yeah, yesterday was painful day. Okay, so it says like this. Amar Rav says, Eina Isha Isa Shliach Lekabel Lagitim Yad Shliach Baila. I learned this once before, it was a little surprising. But we know that a husband can make a shliach lahaylacha, right? A shliach to bring the get to his wife. We know that a wife can make a shliach lekabala, that's a shliach to receive the get, right? However, if a husband makes a shliach lahaylacha, the wife, according to Rav, is not allowed to make a shliach lekabala. So you can't have four people involved here. You can't have the husband, wife, which that's you can always have the husband, wife, but over here, you can't have two shluchim. You can't have two shluchim. You can't have one shliach, right? Like that classroom with the teacher's not there, but there's a tape recorder and the students didn't come and they put tape recorders also. So that you can't do according to Rav. Rav Chanina Amar, Rav Chanina says no, you can have the two agents. You can have two agents. You can have the husband shliach bringing the get, and you can have the woman shliach that's receiving the get. Okay, now Gemara right away starts. My time at the Rav. What's the reason why Rav forbids this? What's wrong? You can use a shliach, one shliach. Why can't you use a second shliach? So the answer, we're going to give two answers here. Iba Yasema, if you want, you can give one answer. We'll say like this. Iba Yasema will say Mishum Bezayin the Baal. It's shameful to the husband. Chaim, we spoke about this once. That it looks like, you have to say it like this. The wife is belittling the husband that she's not even going to receive the get on her own from the shliach. Now, if the husband himself was giving the get, so then we would say that, and the wife doesn't come to get it. So maybe that's more of a bizayon, it's more of a shame because the husband's standing there and the wife doesn't even show up to get her get. So, but for that we say, look, I know the wife didn't show up to get the get, and I know that's not nice to the husband, but the fact is the husband still gave the get to the shliach. So we see clearly that he was agreeing to that. But when the husband gives the get to a shliach to bring it, and then the wife doesn't show up to receive it, and instead she sends a shliach to receive it, the shliach that was meant to bring it was never told that you should give it even to her shliach. We're just making she's just making a shliach that represents her. So it could be that in this case the husband never agreed to that. So Rav is concerned, the Zayin the Baal, that the husband never agreed to give the get in a way that the woman's never going to show up to receive it. It's just going to be represented by someone else. Okay. That's answer number one. Iba Yisema, if you want, there's another answer. Okay, so to explain this, it works like this. We know that a man can make a shliach to bring a get, a woman can make a shliach to receive the get, right? There's no question about that. Over here, the problem is that you're using both of them. You're using the shliach to bring it from the husband. You're also using the shliach to receive it from the woman. Now, let's say the man that's bringing the get from the husband shows up to the woman and says, I want to give you the get. So the woman says, why don't you just be my shliach to receive it for me? So he just made the same person that's the shliach lahilacha, the shliach lekabbalah. Right? Sounds like she should be able to do that. The problem is, there's two actual problems, but the one that we're going to bring up right now is that the shliach, this is similar to, let's say the husband puts the get in a property of a third party, and then the woman goes along and buys that property. So she's acquiring the get after the get was already placed there. So we say that's considered like her taking the get on her own, and she's not really receiving it. So by her making the shliach lahilacha, she now makes him into a shliach lekabbalah. That's similar to getting the property after the get was already placed there, because here the get was already in his hands, and now she's just acquiring him. She's not really acquiring him, but she's making him into her shliach after he already has it. So, if you want, I could tell you mishum chatzeira, because of a courtyard habalach mikan that comes afterwards. Okay, that's why, according to Rav, two possible reasons why Rav doesn't want the husband shliach and the woman shliach to be active at the same time. Okay, my beinayu. What's the difference between these two reasons? Let's say the woman had made her shliach to receive it even before the husband shliach to bring it. Yeah, so then what we would say is it's incomparable to the courtyard that she acquires afterwards. It's incomparable to her making the husband's shliach into her own shliach afterwards, right? Because she already had a shliach from beforehand. Okay. Well, maybe the husband's going to take her shliach and give it to her, tell her to bring it, but he already has a shliach to receive it. So as soon as he gives it to her, gives it to the shliach that he thinks is a shliach to bring it, she's already divorced because she had a shliach there to receive it. Okay, so that wouldn't be an issue according to this. Hahu Gabra, we have a story. There was a person, the Shada la Gita le de Bisu. He sent a get to his wife. He used the shliach. Azul shlicha, the shliach went. Ashkacha, he found her. He asked Kalisha that she's sitting and she's kneading dough. Amrala, he says to her, Hilach gitech, here's your get. Amrale, she said to him, Lehavi biyadach, receive it from me. You take care of it. Tells the shliach that's bringing it that he should also acquire it on her behalf. Rav Nachman says, Im Isa lid Rabbi Chanina avdi ba'avda. If Rabbi Chanina would be correct, then this would be a good get. Because remember, Rabbi Chanina argued on Rav. Rav said that you're not allowed to use a shliach lahilacha and also a shliach lekabbalah for the same get. You can't have the husband's messenger and the wife's messenger receiving the get from each other. But Rabbi Chanina said that wasn't a problem. So if Rabbi Chanina says that's not a problem, then maybe here we have the husband's messenger and we also have the wife's messenger. Now it turns out it's the same person, but if Rabbi Chanina would be correct, that should be no problem.
It's like having a broker, one broker for each side.
Right.
The same broker.
Right.
Can you do that? You can do that, you see. Real estate. Disclosures.
Do you does it cut down the fee? No, the charges both of them. Same guy doubles his fee.
How it's usually done is like the listing agent makes a contract with the seller,
Right.
and then part of the fee that he charges, he'll split it with the buyer's agent.
And if you have that agent, the seller's agent and the buyer's agent is the same person, and he takes both.
Yeah, he could take both, or maybe like work it down a little bit.
Right. Okay. So
Is that what happened here?
Yeah.
People get.
is there did the shluchim can the shliach get paid? I don't remember the shliach getting paid. I know the sefer gets paid, the edom get paid. I don't remember the shliach getting paid.
On a commission, they get a certain amount of the ketubah.
No, they don't.
Right.
They don't get that.
What if it'll make a difference if they're paid or not?
I don't know.
Because they don't get to be responsible.
Oh, you're talking about if I'm a paid watchman. So you're saying interesting. Okay, Amalei Rava. Rava says to Rav Nachman. Nachman is much older than Rava. He says to him, what do you think? If you're just going to hold like Reb Chanina, then this is going to be a good get. This is another concept we learned before, that we're supposed to be able to have the shliach go back to the husband and say that I accomplished the mission that you sent me on. Problem is over here, he can't do that because before he accomplishes his mission, he leaves being a shliach from the Baal and becomes a shliach from the woman.
Oh.
Baal is the husband. He leaves the husband's shlichus and becomes, so he never can make it back and say, I did your mission, because it's like transforms into the other, okay.
Double agent.
He's a double agent. It's a double agent. So Rava has a problem with Rav Nachman using the same agent, right? And Shalchu Kamid Rabami. They sent this question to Rabami, is it going to work? Shalach Lahu, Rabami responded that Leichazar Shlich Zetzel Baal, Rava's right. It's a problem. It's problematic. You can't use the same agent. Rav Chia Barabba, Mar Nesyasha B'davar, Rav Chia Barabba said, Rav Chia Barabba is the Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan. He says, I have to think about this. Let me, give me some time to think about it. Other Shalcho Kamid Rav Chia Barabba, they returned and they asked Rav Chia Barabba. Amar, he said, Kol Hani Shalcho Lavazli, you keep sending and going, but we don't, just like you have the question, we also have the question. We don't have an answer. This is a matter of relations, it's a matter of marriages, and it's a doubt. But the way it works over here is that when you have a matter of relations, of marriages, that you have a doubt, so the rule would be that we can't consider her divorced. We also can't consider her married. So therefore, if the husband would die, then, and there's a brother, she wouldn't be able to do yibam as if she was really married to the husband till the very end, and she's a widow. She wouldn't be able just to get married to someone else as if she's a divorcee. She would have to do chalitza, and then she could marry someone else. She would have to do, to separate the bond from her and the deceased brother. Haviyuvta, there was a story like this. We must have used the same agent to be the shliach the halacha and the shliach lekabbalah, the husband's agent and the wife's agent. B'atzcha Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta gets the chalitza. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta required a get and chalitza. The Gemara says, Tarti, 1 second. If there's a get, then why do you need chalitza?
Yeah.
She's already clearly divorced. The Gemara says, no, get mechayim. When he was alive, if he would stay alive, then he would require another get. And if he would pass away, then for chalitza lachamisa, then he would require chalitza. Okay, so either way, he wants to, he says that this is a doubt. We need to resolve this by fixing up the situation.
So in this case, the guy did die?
Well, I think what we're saying is not that he died or he didn't die. We're saying that he would have required, if he would stay alive, if he would have. That's what it looks like. Nefasa. There was a lady, was a lady, her name was Nefasa. Ozal Sadi Kasav Tifata. And the messengers went, the husband wanted to divorce Nefata. And the messengers went and wrote the wrong name.
Oh, rats.
Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta Mishmei de Rab. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Shmuel, son of Marta, says the name of Rab. Asu Edom Shlichusam. The witnesses already performed their shlichus, and they were not appointed to do another get. They have to go back and get new, it's called minuyim, new appointments to be able to do this get again, because they were appointed to make one get. They weren't appointed to make many gittin. Appointed to make a get. They made a get and they messed it up, so it's too late. Maskefla Rabba. Rabba said, Mikamala ksuva chaspa v'havala. Rabba says that's considered they fulfilling their mission, and now they can't. Were they told to write a get on to write clay and give it to her, like in others, to write something that's worthless and give it to her? They never accomplished the mission, so the shlichus is still there. They still have the original appointment. Elam Rabba, rather Rabba says, when would it be considered that they fulfilled their mission was if they actually wrote a good get and then they just lost it. Then that would be considered. But here they didn't even write a good get. They could go back and write a good get without getting new instructions from the husband. Maskefla Rav Nachman asked on that, Mikamalu, did he tell to them, write a get and put it in your pocket? He didn't say that. He didn't say that either. So until she gets the get, so they can go back and write another get. Nachman says they're allowed to write and give until she's divorced, even if it's 100 times.
Wow.
On the same instructions.
No commission.
Watch the papers getting
So just the mission, right? They have to do complete it no matter how many times
right.
it takes.
But the idea was not that they have to. The idea is that if they want to finish their mission, they don't need to go back to the husband and say, "Can you appoint me again to do another get?"
How do they know the correct name? Who messed it up? The scribe messed it up.
Yeah, they didn't hear it right or something. Someone told them that's not my name, or that's not the name of the person.
So how do they get it corrected?
They have to write it again.
The husband has to
The
say
husband does not. What we're saying here is that the husband doesn't need to give new instructions because the get wasn't written correctly. He gave instructions to to write a get correctly. They didn't fulfill their mission, so they can still continue with their mission. That's the idea. Once they fulfill their mission, they can't do. Husband tells him, "Divorce my wife, so and so," and they went ahead and they divorced the wife. They wrote the get. They gave it to her. Then they don't have the rights to write another get to divorce his other wife. I'm saying they only gave him instructions for one. So, or if he marries her again, marries her back,
right.
For his second wife, she's okay. So he marries her back. They don't have the permission to do it again. They need new instruction. But over here, they never divorced her, so they do it again. Okay. Rava has a question from Rav Nachman. Interesting. We had Rava discussing with Rav Nachman before. The instructions were given to write the get and give the get over to a shliach that's going to take the get to the wife. And that's what they did. Mahu. What happens now? Siluki salaklu. Should the Sefer and the Eidim be done with the whole story now because they've already handed the get over to the shliach? That was their whole mission. By Dilma, L'tircha did who chayish. Or maybe the husband that appointed them to write the get and to give it to the shliach, it wasn't that was their whole mission. Their whole mission was really that the wife should receive the get and be divorced. Why didn't he say that? Well, he didn't want that. He didn't want to bother them that not only should they write the get, they'd also have to bring the get. So he used someone else. But the truth is that if the second person, if the shliach loses the get or something happens, they could still go and write the get again without getting new instructions. That's the question. The question is, were there instructions just to do what's on the factory line? You only do one thing, you're supposed to just sew the button
stitch.
onto the one stitch. But were they appointed just to do the writing and the handing over to the shliach, or were they really involved in the whole divorce? And because at the end of the line it doesn't make it to the wife, they could go back and do it again without getting new instructions because they never fulfilled their real mission. That's Rav's question to Rav Nachman. It's a good question. Amalei Ravina Larav, Amalei Ravina Laravashi. Ravina asks Ravashi. We jump a few generations now, and Ravina says to Ravashi, let's say that this is like an imtim talaimar. If we would say that the mission was already fulfilled by giving it over to the shliach, what about if the husband's instructions were that the yoylachla and let her get it? They said, write the get, give it to my shliach, and let her get the get. Let her receive the get. So what would the din be then? Because now she never received it. So over here he says teku. Now we don't know if it's considered that handing it over to the shliach is already a fulfillment of the mission, or because he added the word take, or if he added the word v'yoylachla, and that it should be brought to her and she should get it. If he never fulfilled the mission, we leave this as a question. Look at this Rosh Tevis. I don't know if you have it. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Eimer. Afa Eimer, also someone that says Toli Gitti, someone that says take from me my get. Imrat Salachzar, if the husband wants to retract after that, because the wife already appointed a messenger, he can't take it back because it's as if the wife had already received it. Tanur Rabbanan, it was said in the Brisa, Toli, take from me. Sully, lift up for me. Be a Haley Biyadcha, it should be for me in your hands. Kul Nashan Kabbalah, all of those are considered as instructions to receive the get, which means the Shliach LeKabbalah. And she would be divorced as soon as it enters the hands. Okay, we have a new Mishnah. Isha Sha'amra Hiskabali Giti, a woman that tells a Shliach, receive for me my get. Go get the get from me. And the Shliach goes and he says, I received the get. We're going to need two pairs of witnesses to validate this whole story. We're going to need two witnesses that are going to say that he was appointed as a Shliach. And we're going to need two witnesses that say that they witnessed the husband giving this messenger the get and they tore the get. Yeah, in the Gemara we're going to see why they tear the get. Today we tear the get. It's called a karab besdin. To show that it was done. So they make a little tear in it to show that it's been given. Do they have that in anything nowadays where they tear something to show that it's been done? Now they put a stamp on it that it says like, void or something. I don't know, already been given. Okay. Yeah, already cashed. All right. So you're going to need two sets of witnesses for this. Now it doesn't matter if the witnesses are the same people. That's fine. The witnesses that were by the wife that overheard the instructions that you should receive the get from me, right? And those same witnesses went together with the messenger to the husband and watched the husband give the get to the shliach lekabbalah. Or it could be, or it could be that you did have two witnesses. One that watched the instructions, you should be my agent. And then one of them continued on. And when he got there, he found someone else that watched the giving of the get together with him. Yeah. So there's an independent person for the giving, there's an independent person for the receiving, and then there's one that was the same for both.
They didn't use back then like a signature, like the husband whenever he received it was sent paper.
No. You just use witnesses. Yeah. So one that was there by the instructions, one that was there by the receiving of the get, and that's good. And then there's a third person that joined for both of them. So instead of having 4 people as witnesses, over here they only had 3, but they really only needed 2, but 3 would also work.
Hard to find.
Itmar. Let's say we have a third party that's holding on to a get. And the husband says, the husband says, Lipikadan, you know why this fellow is holding the get? I gave it to him to watch. Shlishaimer, this third person that's holding the get, says, Lagerishin. No, that's not true. He gave it to me because I was a messenger from the wife, and I've just received it on the wife's behalf.
Wow.
The husband says she's not divorced. I want the get back. And this fellow says she is divorced. I was a messenger from her. So me Neman, who's going to be believed? We actually had a case, not exactly like this, but we had someone that we didn't trust. He was going to give a get, but it was many, many years that he didn't give a get. We didn't trust that he was going to retract from the appointment, because it was going to take us time to get the get to her. We didn't trust it. So we had arranged that he was going to give the get to a shliach to bring the get. We had arranged at that time that person that he gives the get to was already a shliach le Kabbalah from the wife.
Oh,
Said this person was already appointed as a shliach le Kabbalah.
So as
As soon as he
courts in cahoots.
yeah, of course it was in cahoots with the wife, right? So when he gave the get to the agent, which he thought would take now a week or something till the wife got the get, at that point she was already divorced.
Then what happened?
That was it. We delivered the get. We did it. We fulfilled that she should actually receive the get, because today usually we don't do a shliach Kabbalah. We don't do a shliach to receive a get.
Right.
We only do a shliach la'ilacha, shliach to bring the get. But just to be strict and to make sure that nothing, if anything would have gone wrong, then at least we had that in place. Okay, so over here we have someone holding on to a get. One guy says, the husband says that you're holding it because you're just protecting it, you're just guarding it, and the other person says, no, I'm holding it because I was a shliach to receive it on behalf of the wife. Me Neman, who's believed? So we're going to have a machlaikas. Rav Huna Amar, Rav Huna says Baal Neman, that you trust the husband in this case. Rav Chizda Amar, Rav Chizda says Shlish Neman, you trust the third party, you trust him. Rav Huna Amar Baal Neman, Rav Huna says you trust the husband. Dimi so delegation yavin alei. If it was true that it was given for divorce, like the third person is saying, then he would have given it directly to her. What's this third person doing with the get? So the odds are that it must be that he's just holding it to watch. Rav Chizda says the third person is trusted, because the husband trusted the third person to guard the get. You see, the husband thinks that he's a trustworthy guy. The husband thinks he's a trustworthy guy. Now he's telling us this, so it's all as if we have testimony that you can trust this person, and he's saying that it's that she's divorced. Masav Baba. Baba's going to ask a question now on Rav Huna that says that you trust the husband. There's a brisa that says that when one of the litigants admits, that's as if there's 100 witnesses there. One of the litigants himself admits to what the other person is claiming, so that's like 100 witnesses. Vishlish, yeah.
Isn't there something that you couldn't admit?
That's if there was a crime. You can't self-incriminate according to Jewish law. But if the person says you owe me money, and so do you have proof? This is no, I don't have proof. Like other guy says that, yeah, I do owe you money. So that's it. We don't need any proof. Yeah, that's like 100 witnesses. So how does that work exactly? That's an interesting discussion. But now it goes on. It says the third party is trusted over both. What's the Mishnayim? What's the both? Both of the litigants. So we trust the third party more than the two litigants. It's like he's unbiased. Ketzad, how does this work? Zayim Merkach, this litigant says this. Zayim Merkach, and this litigant says that. Shlish Neman, the third party is trusted. You have a Kasha and Ravuna. Why does Ravuna say that the husband is believed? If I have a third party here, we should believe the third party. Exactly like the Brisa says. Where it says, Shani Maman dis Yavla Mechila. No. By money, we trust the third party.
So it's not worth 100 witnesses.
Because by money, the litigants can say, okay, let him have it. And with that, they can change the whole law. But when it comes to prohibitions, litigants can't just say, let him have it, because there has to be a rule here. There's halachas involved. You can't just change the law just because they're going to agree. One second, we have a brisa that says the same thing applies to a get. That if there's an argument between the husband and the third party, that you believe the third party. It says, yeah, Gittin Maman. That we didn't say a get. We didn't say get, but we referred to a get as Gittin Nashim, a woman's divorce. We said a get. A get is another word for a document, which means a monetary document. Yeah, that's an easy way out. But we have a brisa v'chein l'shtaris that says the same thing applies to documents. Now, if we have another brisa that says it applies to documents, and we also have another statement that says it applies to gittin, so the documents must mean the monetary documents, and the get must mean a get to divorce. It says, Midigabi Adadi Tanya, what are you talking about? Those are two separate statements, and they're both referring to the same thing. If it would have said, V'chein l'mam and v'chein l'gittin, v'chein l'shtaris, then we would have said, yes, the get means the divorce document. But the fact is, one brisa says v'chein l'gittin, you have another brisa says v'chein l'shtaris, and they really referring to the same thing. They weren't said one after another. If it was said one after another, then you would be right, but they weren't said one after another, they were said separately. Tanan. Quote our Mishnah. If a woman says, receive the get from me, she's going to need two witnesses. Two witnesses that say, two sets of witnesses. First set of witness that says that in front of us, she appointed this person as a shliach to receive the get. And two witnesses that say that in front of us, the get was given and it was torn. Okay. Why do we need these second set of witnesses? The guy has the get. Let's just trust him. What's the problem? Why do we need the witnesses? Mikanafik. Okay. Mikanafik gita mitusa yadi delehemne. Gemara says like this. The way it works that we can trust the third party would only be if, what's the problem?
Don't worry, it's between me and Don this time. We'll resolve it later.
The only way that we would trust the third party was if the get was still existing and he had potential to give the get right now to the wife if he so wanted. Now, because he doesn't have that ability right now, because the get was already torn, so now we can't trust him anymore. When do we trust the third party? When the third party is holding on to the item or holding on to the get, that you say, okay, you don't trust him, so he'll give the get right now. At least the get still exists. But over here, the get doesn't exist anymore, so he's not considered a third party that we would trust. Now the Gemara says, Teinach Amra. I understand why we need Eidim, we need witnesses to say that this fellow was appointed as a shliach to receive the get. But Kiba Lamali, why do we need witnesses to say that he received the get? We see that he received the get. Of course he received the get. He's holding it. Why do we need witnesses for that? Amar Rav, or I don't know, what do you have by you? Amar Rabba? Amar Rabba. Rabba says, Hamani, you know whose this opinion is? Rabbi Elazar. It's the opinion of Rabbi Elazar. It's probably Rabbi Eliezer. What do you have, Rabbi Eliezer or Rabbi Elazar? You have Rabbi Elazar. This is the opinion of Rabbi Elazar. That's Rabbi Elazar is the friend of Rabbi Meir, that says Damar Edi Masira Karti, that says that the witnesses that see the transaction, see the transfer of the get from the husband to the wife, those are the main witnesses that validate the get. Now the Gemara asks, Kara Lamali, why do we need to tear the get? Rav Yudah Amar Rav. Rav Yudah says the name of his teacher, Rav, Shas Gzeira Shanu. This was taught at a time of oppression and persecution, and we weren't allowed to do Torah laws, so we had to tear the get so that we shouldn't get caught with them.
Excuse me. The last case where you're talking about two sets of Avon, this is in addition or because we
Total.
never mentioned about the Fanei Nechta.
Yeah.
Or is one of them automatically also going to add that in their testament?
So the concept of Fanei Nechta is when the husband makes an agent to bring the get from overseas, to bring the get to the woman. Over here, the woman made an agent to receive the get from the husband. And so over here, you don't have a B'fanei Nechta because the husband himself is giving the get. You only have a B'fanei Nechta when there's an agent that says that I was there at the writing of the get and I know that it was written Lishma. This was not a blank that was just being used now to, right? They have to testify to that. But if the husband's giving it, then we know that it's good.
I didn't know he's giving it because she's talking about all these Avon.
Yeah, but Adam that she appointed an agent to receive it on her
Oh,
behalf.
so she
She's
took
the
care of
one,
both sides of Avon. So
Yeah.
who's he giving it to?
He's giving it to an agent. The husband is giving the get to an agent in front of witnesses.
To an agent.
Yeah.
In front of witnesses. So again, same question. Don't those witnesses also have to say
No.
if the
The
guy
Fanei Nechta is only said.
he's not in Israel?
I understand. The Fanei Nechta is only said when you're trying to accomplish the divorce right now by an agent of the husband. But once they're divorced and he just shows up with the get and says you were divorced, they doesn't need to testify that it was done all lishma. That B'fanei Nechta is only at the divorce itself. It's not afterwards.
And this is all.
This is all afterwards. He's showing up afterwards and says, I received the get on your behalf and all of that. And there's witnesses here that testify to that. Okay. Amar Rabba. Rabba says, Ravuna would agree that the husband, Ravuna usually says the husband is the one that's believed if there's a conflict between the husband and versus the third party. So Ravuna says the husband's is believed, but Ravuna would admit the Amra Ihi that if the wife says, L'didi Amar li shlish, the shlish told me, the legerish and yavan alei mehemna, that it was given to him to divorce. So then we believe the shlish. The Gemara says, 1 second. We have a question on Rabbah. What are you doing here? If the third party himself, the shlish, the person that's holding the get, says that I was given the get in order to divorce this wife. I was the agent from the wife. We don't trust him, according to Rafun. So when the wife comes along and says that the shlish, this person said, that it was given to him in order to divorce the wife. So then now we're going to believe the wife that says it in the name of him. If we didn't trust him, why should we believe the wife that says it in the name of him? Ella, rather, if she says that the husband said in front of me, she's saying that the husband said that it was given for divorce. So then we believe. It's a migu that she could have said that the husband himself gave it to me. She could. A woman is believed to say that she's divorced, and now she's saying that the husband said that he's giving it to the agent in order to divorce. Then we trust her. Baal Amar, new case. Baal Amar Lagerishin.
Woman wants to be married.
She wants to get remarried. The husband says Lagerishin that I gave the get over to divorce her. Shlishar Lagerishin, and the agent says I was receiving it in order to divorce her. And she says, I was actually received the get and I lost it. Amar Rabbi Yechanan says, We need witnesses to this because this is a matter of marriage, and we need witnesses that she received the get. Why do we need witnesses? We said that you can trust the third party. It says no. You can only trust the third party if he's holding on to the get. We said this before. Once the get was torn, you couldn't trust him either. Here he doesn't even have it. Why don't you trust the husband? If a husband says, I divorced my wife, we trust him. Rabbi Baravan says, the husband is believed to say, I divorced her. Why do we need witnesses for it to get remarried? Mika Amar Girashti, does he say that he divorced her? He didn't say he divorced her. All he said was that I gave it to the agent for that to divorce her. It says, see, it looks like over here that the agent was a shliach lahilacha. Agent was meant not to receive it, but to bring it to her. So why don't we just say that look, if we don't trust the agent because he's not holding the document. Now, we don't trust the husband because he didn't say that he divorced her. He just said he gave it to the agent. But we have a chazaka, we have an assumption that whenever there's an agent, that the agent fulfills his mission. That's a chazaka. Chazaka shliachos shlichusei. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak kaim l'shluchai, because we have a statement from Rabbi Yitzchak. It says someone sends to a messenger, say the kaddish liisha stam. Says, go find me a wife.
Ooh,
Anyone, find me a wife. This is not going to end well.
Citizenship, find one.
Yeah.
good luck.
And then the agent dies.
Whoa.
He's in a bad situation. He's not allowed to get married forever. Why?
Wow.
Because chazaka shliach is shlichusei. You have a chazaka that the shliach actually found a wife for him and gave this woman a ring and said that you should now betroth to Reuven, to whoever it is. And what's the problem? So Reuven will go and marry her. We don't know who she is. So what? They'll marry whoever it is. And what's the problem? No problem, because maybe this is the sister. He's going to go marry the sister of the woman that the shliach gave. He's not allowed to marry two sisters. He's going to marry the mother of, or the daughter, or the something, or the relative, something that's not going to work out. So therefore, he can't marry anyone.
What if another woman shows up with Aiden? They say, yes, this woman actually is.
So then you clarified it. Now, Taisus asks over here an interesting question. He says, why is the rest of the world allowed to get married? Because maybe we should make a prohibition on the whole world. No one's allowed to get married because we had one of the women in the world was married and we don't know who it is. And and anyone in the world gets married, they're marrying a married woman. It says no. Each woman on her own is not a problem for her to get married. The whole problem is that this woman may be a relative of someone that received it. And that's only a problem for this individual. The rest of the world is allowed to marry his relatives. Only this individual cannot marry his wife's relatives. We don't know who the wife is.
They usually do like laws based on like majority. In this case, like
Yeah, but we won't consider it you want to say that the wife is batal, is nullified, and all the women in the world. No, you don't say that because the individuals don't become batal. You don't say the person is batal.
Like, what are the odds of?
Yeah, the odds, we don't have odds, but each person would be a 50-50. Taisus at the end discusses that actually. Yeah, it's a good point. Okay.
So somebody might marry her, right? Another random man might marry this random woman.
Yeah, but no, we're not concerned about a random person marrying her because she knows that she's betrothed.
She
She
knows.
knows that she's betrothed. It's only that her relatives don't know. And
Can't send out a notice to all the relatives.
yeah, someone may not receive it. I don't know. So it reminds me of Mendy Pellin. He lost a nail, one of his nails on Kingston Avenue.
Hazmat suits.
So they closed off the whole Kingston Avenue. So because a pregnant woman's not allowed to step on a. They're saying like you just control the whole world. Anyway, It's a joke. Yeah. So
Pandemic.
anyway, our question over here is, why don't we say that we should trust the husband that he gave it to the shliach? Trust the shliach that the mission was fulfilled, and we should say that she's divorced because chazaka shliach is shlichusay. Hanimil l'chumra. That's just to be strict, like we said by Rabbi Yitzchak, that the person can't get married. But to say that she's divorced, to be lenient, that we don't have a kula like. Why don't we trust her? She says she's divorced. Mida Rav Hamnuna, like Rav Hamnuna says, Damar Rav Hamnuna, if a woman tells her, the husband in his face, he says, you divorced me. We trust her because we have a chazaka that the woman would never have such audacity to tell her husband that you divorced me if it wasn't true.
Well,
Umar says, that's only if she doesn't have support, other people saying that she's divorced. But over here, but if she has other people that are saying that she's divorced, for example, the shliach or the husband that's saying I gave it, so then we don't have the chazaka that she would never have the audacity because she has backup. She has backup, then maybe she would say it even if it wasn't actually true. Okay, where is the get in this whole story?
Probably on the street with the rest of the doctor saying it's trash.
What was that about? Okay.
Oh, you want,
you want to tell me?
don't. Dirty laundry.
Okay. Nara Marasa, a woman that is 12 years old, that she's betrothed. It's a new Mishnah. Hiva via Makabla Nastita. You have two options. If the husband wants to divorce her, he can give it to her, the get, or he can give the get to her father. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says, Ein shtei yadayim zeichas kachas. You can't have two people receiving a get on her behalf. This is not a good situation. It's either her or her father. And so Rabbi Yehuda says, Ela avia Makabla Skita b'lvad. The father can receive the get, not her. Any girl that's not able to guard, protect the get, cannot be divorced. She's not of age that she can, or of sane, you can't divorce her if she can't protect the get. But my kamiflagi, what's the machlekes the Gemara says between the Tanakama that says you have two possibilities of divorcing her, either giving the get to her or to the father, and Rabbi Yehuda that says only to the father. Well, Rabbanan Sabri Yada Yeserta Zachila Rahman. The Rabbanan say, the Tanakama says that when she becomes 12, she gains some independence. Now, not only does the father have the ability to take the get for her because she was married off, I almost said sold. She was married off by the father to this fellow, and the father can receive the divorce. So now, because she's of age, she's now 12 years old. Now she has an addition that she can also receive it. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Rabbi Yehuda says, "B'makamav yadi le'lav klami." Rabbi Yehuda says that if the father's still here, then her hand is nothing. He has the whole say. If she's not able to guard the get, if there's a child that can guard her get, she can be divorced. If she can't guard her get, she can't be divorced. How old is someone that can guard the get? Anyone that can guard the get, then something else. Gemara says, my kamar, what do you mean by that? Rabbi Yochanan explains. If she doesn't know where the get is, she finds a paper. She says, oh, I have to earn. Let's say it's not a paper. She finds something. Says, this must be my get. I have to guard it. So if she's guarding something in place of the get, she thinks it's the get, then that means that she's old enough to guard the get, and we trust her. What are you saying? She's old enough. She's a regular imbecile. She's guarding, a doll, and she thinks that that's her get. We didn't say that she's guarding another paper that has a ribbon on it or something. She's guarding. She found something, and she's guarding it as a get. he explains differently. She can tell the difference between her get and something else. She knows this is her get, this is something else. That's a woman that she can already be divorced. She's old enough to be divorced. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rabasi. Rav Yehuda says the name of Rabasi. Trar v'zarka. If you have a child that when he sees a pebble, he throws it away. Ega is when he sees a walnut, nightly he takes it. So he's old enough to know the difference between a pebble and a walnut. So then, he can already acquire for himself, but he can't acquire for anyone else. We'll see what that means. If you can take an item and he'll return it to you after when you ask him for it, so then now he's already old enough that he can acquire for someone else. So I'm imagining the kids take the cell phone. They say, okay, can I have it back? They run away, they disappear.
Oh,
So they're not getting it back.
oh.
So that's too young to acquire for someone else. Rav Yehuda is saying this. He said it in the name of Ravasi. Rav Yehuda was a student of Shmuel later. He says, when I told this over to Shmuel, Amarli David Achasi. He says, no, both of them have the same rule. My David Achasi, what does it mean both have the same rule? Rav Chizda says, both of these ages you only acquire for yourself and not to acquire for someone else. Okay, we'll see now what it means to acquire for someone else. Masav Rav Chinna Vardan. Rav Chinna Vardan has a question on Ravasi. Ravasi says that someone that's old enough to return the item can acquire for someone else. So it goes like this. Keitzan mishtatfer. How do you do shituf mavois? This is talking about like on Shabbos. We learned this. And Shabbos, if you want to make an Erev, so an Erev is everyone in one courtyard becomes one family by joining their meal together. They have a meal in one house, an item, and that's a food item for everyone. Okay. Shitufim Mavais is when you have different courtyards that want to join in the cul-de-sac, right? And okay, so how do they join? It says, he puts down the barrel, and he says, this belongs to everyone in the courtyard, not in the courtyard, everyone in this cul-de-sac. And he has them acquire this barrel of wine by giving it to either his son that's an adult, or his daughter that's an adult, or his Jewish slave, or his Jewish maidservant. How old is a Jewish maidservant? Gemara says, how old is a Jewish maidservant? Does she have 2 hairs already, 2 pubic hairs? That means she reached maturity. My boy Gaba, by Gabe. What's she doing by the master? She's supposed to be free already. It must be that she's still a child. She didn't reach maturity yet. And you see that she can acquire for others. What is no, it's not a question on Ravasi, it's a question on Shmuel, right? It's a question on Shmuel. Shmuel says that she can't acquire for anyone else. Here we see clearly that she can acquire, right? Is that how it's put over there? It's a question on Shmuel. That's how I'm going to learn it. The Gemara answers, it's not a question. Kashani shitufim mavais derabanan. Over there, it's only a rabbinic law. That's only really, according to the Torah, they're allowed to carry there anyway. And so here, this is just rabbinic law, so we have a lenient view. Amar Rav Chizda says, Ishtik Vardan. We've silenced Vardan. That means Rav Chinna Vardan asked the question, boy, did we do away with him. We gave him an answer. Well, my Havalela Meimar, what did you want him to say? It says, called the tikkun Rabbanan ken deraisa tikkun. We wanted him to say that that's not a good answer because he would say that what's the difference if it's a rabbinic law? Whatever the rabbis instituted, they only instituted it to be similar to the biblical law. So if it doesn't work biblically, it won't work rabbinically. It says V'idach, the other one says, Ki amrina called the tikkun Rabbanan ken deraisa tikkun. When do we say that every rabbinic law has to be similar to the biblical law? That's That's if the basic law is biblical, and now we have extensions of that are rabbinic. But if we have things that don't even have a basic biblical foundation, so then that we can be lenient by. We don't take kol the tikkun Rabban ken deraisa tikkun. Okay, we'll leave it over here. A good day.